Coming up on Live Well.
You know, they had gotten into like some scholarship program, or their mother's friend's boss had found, it was never that I just woke up, I went to school every day, I did my work, I applied for university, and I got in.
Okay.
You know, you don't hear that story a lot from Black people who come from low income communities. I've kept the promise. Primary, you can vote in.
Brought to you by Mom Well Care Kit, wrestling one mommy at a time. You should get yours today.
I'm your host, Marcello Thedford, and I am with my beautiful co-host and wife of many years, mother of four, my wife, Trina McGee. Hey, Trina. How are you doing today?
Doing so good today.
Oh, it's anything special that you want to happen today than any other day?
Today, I just want to feel really loved by you. Will you snuggle with me later?
I will snuggle with you now. If I could do that on the podcast. You on this cuddle thing?
Yeah,
You are a cuddler.
I am.
You are a cuddler.
You know I'm a cuddler.
Well, that's why I say you're a cuddler and everything. What makes you think? You think it's something from your past that makes you want to cuddle or
Yeah.
whatever have you?
Yes, I was abandoned as a child,
Yeah, I know. And when did we have to share those stories?
So I'll tell you for another day, but cuddling really helps when I feel that way, when I feel alone.
You feel alone.
Yeah. When I go to cuddle with her, you're like, we ain't just cuddling now. Look.
No, that's not necessarily true. That's because I know that'll get out there like that. I can do just cuddle. I could be just cuddle. I can be just a cuddler, but I can also be other things.
Yeah. Live and learn, live and learn.
Well, Trina, I would like for you to introduce your friend, your guest of the day. I got to talk to her for a brief moment, and she was pretty amazing. I found out some things, but I'm not going to let the audience know yet. You get to know about her life, who she is. So, Trina, please introduce your guest.
My guest is Wahida. Introduce yourself, Wahida. You say your name better probably than I do. She is an educator. She started a school here. She has a really great diasporan journey that I think is really going to be helpful to a lot of people who are thinking about coming to Africa from America or just fantasizing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Introduce yourself, dear.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Waahida Thobekele. I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky. Man, I have been living in Johannesburg for 13 years.
Wow, wait. You're from Louisville, Kentucky.
Actually say Louisville.
Is that what they said? Louisville.
Say Louisville, but I'm trying to just speak to a broader audience. But
So say Louisville. If I go to Kentucky
Yes.
and I say Louisville, they'll look at me like, where he's from? Where are you from?
yes.
Where is he going? Where is he from? What is he doing?
Yeah.
No. I got
So you guys say Louisville.
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 Okay, so I'm gonna say Louisville. So Louisville
Yes, you got it.
to SA, South Africa.
Yes, I was in DC before.
Okay.
Teaching in DC.
Mhm.
But we moved from DC to South Africa in 2011.
Wow. From DC to South Africa in 2011.
Yeah.
What kind of change was that for you? 'Cause I've been to DC. Trina, Trina went to Howard. With that Howard University, but I know that let's say you in DC, so she had an affinity to DC anyway.
It's a good place. I like DC.
I was there during the golden years.
Okay. What years were those?
Like 89, 92.
Stereo years.
So they had school days, like the real school days came out and actually was out.
But that was a good time to be in.
Oh my gosh, she was like,
What a time.
Oh yeah, what a time.
Oh my goodness.
that's
So wait, explain that to me. You come all the way, and DC goes to the 4 seasons: spring, summer, winter, fall. Snows out there, and everything. And now you're jumping on a plane to South Africa. Is this a live well case? Did you want to live well? Did you want something different in your life that this happened?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. I think that things started to change once I actually got here. But when I first met my husband, we met in 1999, in the 1900s.
Okay, the 1900s.
Yeah, we met in the 1900s.
Sounds so far away. 1900s.
Yes, right. The 1900s.
There's a horse and buggy. Was you riding horses? I mean, how did that work out?
So we were a little bit past that, but yeah, the kids think that I'm really ancient. When we met, we were just friends. And one of the things that appealed to me about Tulani was that he wanted to go back to South Africa.
Want to go back
Yeah.
to South Africa?
He was telling me that from the first year he arrived that, when I finish school, and get myself settled and organized, then I would like to, at some point, move back to South Africa.
Now, hold that thought. You say, so he had a plan always to go back to South Africa?
We did.
I don't hear that a lot.
You don't hear that a lot. Did he like America? He did, but he just had affinity to South Africa because
Yeah, I think he wanted to go home. I think he felt that South Africa was a place of a lot of promise.
Okay.
And I think he felt like he wanted to contribute to that promise in some way.
Amazing.
He was always telling me that he was going back to South Africa. I remember I took a study abroad trip to Ghana, and he tried to convince me not to go to Ghana. No offense to Ghana. He's like, "Oh, you do it to Ghana." So I was like, "No, I want to try Ghana first, and then I'll use South Africa after that." But he's always been the number one fan. South Africa's number one fan.
Wow.
I always wanted to go back home.
Wow. So you guys were in a relationship back in DC, and all he's doing is telling you how great Wahida, South Africa is awesome.
Oh yeah.
The food is amazing.
Yeah,
The people are so great.
Yeah.
He's telling you all these things. You're like, oh, you know what? Maybe South Africa is my love language or something.
Maybe. I mean, I think I didn't really see myself as a person relocating to another country, to be honest with you. I saw myself as someone who would travel a lot and would visit South Africa, visit other countries. But it wasn't until my husband kind of put that out there that if we're going to be together, then at some point we need to live in South Africa.
Oh, see, so he laid that caveat. Yeah, I would say this
Ultimatum.
Right.
He presented like that. He was very smooth with it.
Right, but eventually he said, Africa, South Africa in particular. He said,
Say it like that. Of course, I'm in Belgium. Film films.
It was a deal breaker for him. If I was not open to living in South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm open to it. I'm not sure when I would like to relocate to South Africa, but I'm open to the idea. So then our relationship was able to proceed.
do you hear a lot of African Americans? I think that's a talk I hear sometimes about going back to Africa, about a movement that's kind of building. I guess things are going in the States. I mean, we see a lot of situations. We see school shootings. We see heinous crimes. We have a homelessness issue. We're dealing with immigration policy. Do you think these are things that African Americans are looking at right now and are weighing quality of life and thinking that, well, maybe the grass might be greener if I take that trip back?
For sure. And I think there's definitely a growing number of people who are looking more seriously about reconnecting to the diaspora. Okay. Reconnecting to the continent. People feel like it's accessible.
Okay.
I think before it didn't seem as accessible, but I think the more you see people do it, the more it kind of opens your eyes to the fact that that's actually something that could really happen. It's a real possibility for me to actually relocate to another country. And I know when my family comes to visit me, they miss me, of course, but they all tell me, like, stay where you are. Well, I could come. Which is interesting.
Some of the things you think are better here than maybe in the States.
I think that one of the big things for people is the cost of living.
Yeah.
The cost of living in the U.S. has really gotten out of control. I was there. I used to look forward to my visits to the U.S., and I still do, of course, to see my family. But when I'm there, I'm just...
burns, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I have 3 children now, so it's a family of 5.
Yeah, because
It's expensive to be there. So when I share with people, the differences in the cost of living, in terms of buying a home, the difference between the cost of living in South Africa versus the U.S., they're shocked.
Wow.
And the price of food, of course, yes, it's still increasing in South Africa, but for people who are coming from the U.S., it's like night and day. The contrast is just so big that they just feel like I could be saving so much more money. I could be living just a more exciting life, a more comfortable life in South Africa. So I think the economy has a lot to do with it for people.
Well, Trina, I remember she showed me, and she showed me there was some eggs, a dozen or so, maybe 2 dozen eggs. It was a self at Walmart, I remember, and they were $13 in charge for eggs, U.S. dollars, $13 U.S. for eggs.
Yeah, right.
Here, they'd probably be about $5 or $6.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe more healthier too, right?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. The food to me tastes a little better here.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
It does. The food here, I mean, in the U.S., we're using ingredients that we don't even impose on other countries. Other countries won't even let some of the red 40 and the blue dye, some of the stuff that we just put in our mouth. I say this to Trina sometimes. Sometimes I don't think we go to restaurants no more. Or we buy food. I don't feel like there's chefs no more. I feel like there's just laboratories, scientists. I feel like there's only scientists that are making food. Scientists are the new chefs. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, I can
I think that there because I can go a whole day and eat something in the States, fast food, junk, and not eat one thing that's actually nutritional. And that's pretty remarkable. We're feeding that to our children, let alone ourselves. So we don't even know what's going to happen to them when they get older, and what kind of mental health issue that can happen or mood swings that can happen, so it's pretty intense. So I think people might think it's crazy. Oh, you gonna leave because the food's bad? Yeah, I'm gonna leave because the food's bad. I'm gonna leave because the food's bad. Because food we need to survive. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that also when you're coming from the U.S., depending on how you're making your money, if you're making U.S. dollars, you have a lot of privilege here to be able to buy the right foods.
True.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who still do eat foods that are not of high nutritional value, usually because of their income in South Africa. So I think that the privilege gives us the opportunity to really eat what we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Healthcare experience been here?
My healthcare experience has been wonderful.
Really?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. I had my firstborn in Virginia in the U.S., and then I had my last two boys. I had them here.
Wow.
So I had a fantastic experience. I know you often hear about Americans going back to the U.S. to give birth, and I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
Because I've had fantastic healthcare here that I highly recommend, and even outside of my OBGYN, just my GP and my pediatrician, just have been really awesome. And then my pediatrician is Black, my OBGYN is Black.
Wow.
So that also just gave me this level of comfort, especially around the OBGYN, where you hear about the mortality rates of Black women in the U.S. getting higher than other groups. So it gave me a lot of comfort being able to easily find a Black OBGYN.
Absolutely. Would you say that having a Black, and I ask you this, Trina, having a Black OBGYN, does that, do you think they can relate better to you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to finish the part to do it. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, well, why would you say that?
Because people just have to be realistic about the fact that different races or species of humans, we do have different bodies and we do have different needs. And melanated people should be with a melanated doctor. I really believe that, which is not all made the same. Certain diseases are prone to Africans. Certain diseases are more prone to Asians. And I think a doctor really should be of your race because they're just gonna feel the things you feel.
Right.
But then they have to be good, no matter what.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, they could. I could be with a Black doctor. He doesn't know anything. Then I'm just.
You were a great Black doctor at Cedars-Sinai once.
I did all the
And I remember you just related to him so well. You trusted his advice. You would give that to like, hey, bro, and all that. And, it was a great experience. Just what it did for you emotionally, as far as your assurance of feeling like you were going to get well. I saw it,
No, he was an amazing doctor. He was Dr. Young. Dr. Young at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, if anybody, in Los Angeles, was an amazing doctor. Unfortunately, he passed. Rest in peace, Dr. Young. And Dr. Young was just amazing. But she's right. He saved my life. He literally saved my life in like 10 minutes. He knew exactly what my symptoms were, because he had them as a man and as a Black man. And he was able to see it before it was coming. He saved my life. Literally, after talking with him, I was in ICU, I would say about 45 minutes later, 50 minutes later. They were about to do surgery on me, and if they didn't, I would have died. I had a pulmonary embolism.
Ooh, yes. One of my coworkers had a pulmonary embolism and survived, thank God, but it was scary.
Very scary.
Yeah, I didn't realize how serious they were. Like, life-threatening. Like,
They're like, for blood clots are
in your lungs.
are dangerous that you could die from just like that.
Yeah.
I had a pulmonary embolism very quickly. He didn't have that much vitals on me yet, and he knew exactly what was going to do. Yes, and he ran me in there and he took care of me.
Yeah.
And but it did lead through the years having to go back in the healthcare system, to do other surgeries and follow-up surgeries and stuff like that. So
he really did the thing for you, and luckily he was able to treat you, because so many of the doctors in America these days are being stifled through these insurance companies. I mean, we've all heard of what happened with Brian Thompson.
A Universal Healthcare CEO. Yeah, that oh my gosh, that story is
It's
perplexing.
pretty hard. It's pretty hard. And the comments that they had when he got shot, it's just, I can't believe people can be so cruel. But I understand there must be a lot of people really in pain out there about what's going on. And you were lucky to have a doctor that could treat you. How does it work in South Africa? Do you ever feel like the doctors are run by the insurance companies in South Africa? Because they certainly are in America.
I have not personally felt like that. I think I've also been really fortunate to have medical aid that covers a lot.
Good.
Just do my husband's job, so I just have to point that out.
Right.
I think also with the medical system in South Africa, I just also need to point out that the system that I'm using as a person of privilege is very different from the system that a lot of South Africans use. So I don't want to just overlook that.
Yeah.
Well, right. Because you're doing private health care.
Yes, I'm doing private health care, and so I'm in a position where
Others aren't.
others are not.
Correct.
So unfortunately, there are people in the government system that are dying from pulmonary embolisms, that are dying from things that if perhaps they went to a private physician, they would be attended to better. Unfortunately, the clinics in the public hospitals are very overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed and overrun, understaffed, and some of them are not educated as much as we want them to be, or have the care.
I don't even know if it's education, to be honest with you, because most of the private doctors, or a lot of them, they actually work in the public system as well.
Right.
So, for example, my doctor did a private practice, and then he also worked in the public system as well. So often it's the same doctors, but it's overwhelming, the number of clients that they're seeing. Also, you have people who seek out other alternatives before Western medicine. So a person may choose to go to a traditional healer. They may choose to go to church. But often, these doctors are dealing with clients who've come to them as the last resort. So they're seeing a lot. Right. When I've had to take relatives or students who don't have medical aid to a public facility, the queues are long. They're not being attended to immediately.
Right.
Whereas for me, if I'm having chest pains, if I go to the doctor, I'm going to be seen like that.
It's like that.
For someone in the public system, they have to wait. I mean, they do triage, but they might have somebody that has a bullet wound or, someone that has some more severe issues.
Exactly. Let it prioritize who they.
So that's the challenge.
how they-
I asked that same question, like, what is the difference? Like, why are we seeing such a different result in the government system, versus the private system, when these doctors have went to the same schools, they've gotten the same education? And what I've landed on, just based on conversations, is one of the things you said about the resources.
Yeah.
And then also just be overwhelmed.
Well,
with the clients that they're seeing.
No, I totally
So
agree.
this fantasy that Americans have where you're going to go overseas and then suddenly you're going to be provided with this wonderful health care really is not idealistic globally as much as you would think. There are so people in
Everybody in the country doesn't have that access. No.
who are doing a public healthcare system and a private, and of course it's not going to be equal.
No, it's not going to be equal. I mean, you pay what you weigh, basically. In some countries, and they do have their public system here, and they do have their private system here. I think in the States, I don't know. You guys told me. I think when I was younger, man, I'm not saying when I was really a child, but maybe my teenage years or whatever have you, I just think healthcare system was a lot better in the States. It seemed like it was. Maybe I was living a farce. I don't know. But it seemed like it was better. But now I'm just seeing
The denying claims has gotten really, really big over the last.
I'm hearing a lot about that.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot about denying claims. And people not getting the service, and that it's not even a conversation, I think, in the States between the hospital and the patient. It's more the insurance company who doesn't know either or. Let's look at paperwork and just not a machine that's
They're
probably
becoming the doctors now.
They're becoming the doctors.
They're the
Yeah, they make those tough decisions about if somebody gets care or not.
No, there was actually a story out. I was hearing about that. They're using AI as far as part of the decision-making process
Yes,
of human beings of who should be denied and who should not be denied.
they were using algorithms. That's crazy.
How do I do an algorithm on your cervical cancer?
Algorithm on whether or not I need a triple bypass. you know, or not, and whether it should be approved. Are you weighing out odds and gambling whether or not I'm gonna die or not, or what my value is? That's pretty crazy at the end of the day, you know.
Really hard.
And I say always to say that it's things like this. I think the American people are a lot more wiser than we give them credit at times, because I think we're seeing an exodus of people or people that want to make a difference, if it's by moving out or standing up to the ways of stuff that we see of insurance denial, the crime that we see in the United States that's going on. We see the homelessness, you know, all over the world.
Children.
The way we treat our children, the way we're in a number of different wars right now. You know, we don't know where we might go tomorrow. It might be World War III tomorrow. We don't know, you know, but we don't want to be there for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so I just think it's a time where people are having conversations in the back of their head. Like, what does my next 10, 15, 20 years look like? And should I get out of my comfort space and move abroad?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you did it. So you was never thinking about Africa at all until you met him.
No, not to live. I wasn't thinking about anywhere to live. You know, I was a mama's girl, like very close to my mom. There I am.
He saw you.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I think when I first got married, if you were to ask me who's my family, I would probably say my mom and my two sisters.
Okay.
That was kind of like, I still felt like that's my family. Of course they are.
Got it.
I wouldn't have said like my husband, which is probably misguided. But I think once I had a son, for me, that's when things shifted.
Oh, okay. Mommy came out.
Yeah. So it felt like, what do I want for my family?
Right.
You know, the new family that I've created.
Right. Well,
Figured out what I want for me and my mom and my sisters.
exactly. It's enough.
Yeah. So I think things started to change. I knew that if we had children, that I would want my child to spend some part of his life in South Africa.
Okay.
So that made the decision much easier. So after we had our son in 2009, we decided to move in like towards the end of 2010, and then we relocated in 2011. So it happened pretty quickly after we had our son. He was 18 months when we came to South Africa. Yeah.
18 months when he came to South Africa.
Yeah.
So he was 18 months short of being South African?
Yeah, he has both.
So cool.
He's looking at both. Yeah.
So, do you plan on teaching him other languages or?
My son they know Zulu.
You know, Zulu.
Yes.
Your husband is Zulu?
My husband is Zulu. In our schools,
One guy.
our school that they put him, the kids, my oldest doesn't go to our school anymore.
Okay.
He's now in high school.
Okay.
But my 5-year-old is in grade R at my school. So our languages are English and Zulu. So they've learned a lot from my husband and at school, mostly at school though.
Okay. But it went to your school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My son was there for 9.5 years. And my youngest, he's in grade R, which is the equivalent to kindergarten.
How long you been out here? How long you been in South Africa?
I've been here since 2011.
2011. So you've seen some things. That's not no lightweight air.
I have a little bit of knowledge about South Africa. A little.
Almost. Well, you write volumes of books. Well, I know. Oh my.
I think I'm realizing now that I know a little bit. Like when new people come and ask me questions, I'm like able to answer them. So I'm like feeling pretty good.
I like.
Answer some questions. Favorite supermarket, Woolworths or Checkers?
I like Woolworths.
Yeah, me too.
Grocery shopping is my thing. I would rather spend my money on groceries than like a new pair of shoes.
Right.
You know, so I want a good experience when I go. To me, it's about the experience. When I go to a grocery store, I want it to be treated nicely. I want the employees to be treated nicely, so they can treat me nicely. So the fact that Woolworths has been my go-to place.
It's a food spot.
Yeah.
It's a food spot.
Yeah, I've had great customer service there. The employees seem awesome. You know, they seem like they're being treated well. I hope that that's the case.
Right.
But I love going to Woolworths.
Oh, that's now fun fact. For those that don't know at home, those should know at home. I know when I was a kid, being in New York, I used to see Woolworths 5 dime store.
It's a whole different thing.
But I thought Woolworths was out of business.
I did too.
Woolworths didn't exist from Woolworths.
Hey, moms and moms-to-be. This is Trina McGee, and I'm so super excited to tell you about a great, amazing opportunity. Well, first of all, have you ever just dreamed that someone would just send you a package? Just out of the blue because you're the mom and you want to feel loved? A package about you, about your wellness, about your journey as a mom or a mom-to-be. Well, that wish is about to come true with the Mom Well Care Kit. Girl, you better grab that phone, grab that laptop, that tablet, whatever you've got, and head on over to the website. That is your way to get the personalized care that you need. What are you waiting for? just sign and click on the link below. It's all there for you. The Mom Well Care Kit, waiting to be sent to you, waiting to pamper you. Remember, you're the mom. You're the heartbeat of the family, and everybody needs you. So take care of yourself. Thanks. From me and from Mom Well, Trina McGee here.
We haven't even gotten to the fact that Wahida has. How does it get into a grocery store? I know. Talk about grocery. I want to talk about your school and how that started, and how your husband is involved, or if how's that?
Tell us the school story. We know you made it to South Africa. We know you come out of Lawrence. You know you like rewards. I got you. We know you got private health care. So explain to us now tell us the name of the school.
The name of the school is Hololo. Hololo. Yes, Hololo Academy.
Is it boys and girls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the name means to set free. And to set free.
In Tswana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was something that when my husband and I were trying to think of a name for the school, we really thought about the effect that education had on us. And for me, education was very liberating. I grew up in a low-income, working-class community.
Okay.
And things were not always easy. Sometimes my mom was on government assistance. There were times where we had to get food from a food pantry.
Understand. Yes.
Getting an education for me was kind of like the ticket for me to have a better life.
Absolutely.
And to be able to create the school.
Wow. Did you always went to school? Was that something?
No,
I was asking.
I was a teacher. I taught in Kentucky, in Washington, D.C., and I loved teaching. Not because I loved the subject area so much, but I just love the impact that education has. So for me, I was always teaching kind of as an act of social justice. Not because I loved English so much. I do love English, but that wasn't my motivation.
I love
for getting into teaching. I wanted to figure out how I can use my knowledge to make things better for other people. So I knew that was my calling to create change, and to make things better for others. But I didn't know what that was going to look like.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't actually sure. So I actually started teaching in Cape Town when I moved to South Africa. We started in Cape Town.
You started in Cape Town, right?
Wasn't a good fit.
How do you like Cape Town?
Wasn't a good fit.
Wasn't a good fit.
No.
Okay.
I like the city. I like the energy in Johannesburg. I find it easier to meet people here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoy Johannesburg better.
Do you think you'll move again? You think you'll stay in this area?
For now.
Okay.
We're here for now. Yeah.
All
We
right.
don't have any plans to move.
That's good. And the kids, they like it.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. My oldest is actually in boarding school now in the U.S.
Mhm.
And he's missing South Africa a lot. He's like, everything is different. I'm like, exactly, it's different. He's like, everything.
So he's on the East Coast.
He's in New York.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's at a Quaker school. Yeah, he's in Poughkeepsie, New York. Poughkeepsie, New York. Yeah, so that's it. It's a Quaker school there. So I really like the school, and it's small, like our school.
Wow.
Only 150 kids. It's a very open-minded space, very inclusive space. So I'm happy with the school, but it's just taking him some time to get used to just everything being different.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, so I started in Cape Town. I was teaching there, and I liked it, but it made me start to have some questions, right? So this school was located in a suburb in Cape Town,
Okay.
and all the kids came from a couple of townships. So the kids were bused to the school. Yeah, they were bused to the school every day. And also the school was selective. So you had to be a top student in order to get accepted to this particular school.
Or we only wanted the best out of the township.
Yes, yeah. And so look, there has to be a place for students who excel, above others. So I'm not disregarding that, but that's not most children. Most children are going to be products of the education that they received. So if they did not receive a good education, it's going to reflect. So this school wanted students who did well in spite of the education that they were receiving. And that made me kind of question it a bit. And also the Oprah School had opened, I think a couple of years earlier.
Okay.
And that was also a selective school. So again, nothing wrong with those schools, but they're all highly selective. Yeah, so for me,
The unselected.
Exactly.
Go.
so for me, that created a problem.
guys, lying boy, look great.
The problem for me.
Right, and they show there's a void in the market.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I felt like, what about me? Like, I was an okay student. I was not the top performer in my school. I did not do so well on assessments. So I thought about me still having potential, even though I probably wouldn't have gotten into those schools. And so it made me think about everybody else.
Right.
And it made me think about, why does a school that is providing an excellent education to Black children who come from an under-resourced community, why does it have to always be in the suburbs? Why can't it actually be in their community? Why are we always sending this message that when you're from a community like Alex, that everything good has to happen outside of your community?
Right.
Because that's what I experienced in my community. Everybody kind of knew that the neighborhood school, you don't want to send your kids there. The grocery store, everyone knew, go to the grocery store that's further out.
Yep.
And I feel like I grew up with that mindset and never really questioned it until I started thinking about the education for just the average student. And then I thought about my husband. My husband grew up in Alex, and he grew up in Alex. He did all of his schooling in Alex up until grade 10.
Wow.
And then he was discovered with a couple of friends studying on an abandoned bus in Alex. And a teacher from the American School of Johannesburg found them there, saw them there, and ended up offering them extra lessons, which later turned into a scholarship. So my husband and a few of his friends got a scholarship to the American International School of Johannesburg, which really changed the trajectory of his life. And I always celebrated that story. I was always so proud of him. But when I got here, I realized that that's actually not fair. That in order to have access to a good education, you need to be discovered.
Yeah.
You need to be on a bus where some random American comes and discovers you. It almost sounds like stories of celebrities getting discovered. Yeah,
It sounds like your Jerry Bruckheimer story.
It sounds like one of my stories about I started my career. Okay. And that's because those opportunities, which you would think should exist everywhere for a child, for the youth, don't exist at all.
But just about education.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. I mean, you'd be lucky to be able to go to a good school.
I was in an area not that long ago. There's nothing for the youth.
There's not.
There's no playgrounds. There's no parks. There's no recreation that I was able to see.
But it's limited. It's not enough for the.
Yeah, not enough.
Definitely.
I mean, that's a very dense community.
There's not enough.
A lot of people, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand the value of the youth and how they are truly our people of tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And they're the ones that are going to take care of us. And so therefore, as older people, we're supposed to take care of them. And in some ways, I think in this day and age, we kind of get that message between older people and the youth kind of confused a little bit. And I think that's something that needs to be worked on. But like you said, those people need help. Those people need education, and it shouldn't be a thing where you have to be at a certain place at a certain time for a lightning bolt to strike for you to be able to have an opportunity. I mean, kudos to your husband, for seeing the opportunity and riding the opportunity out, because like you said, it changed the whole trajectory of his life.
Yeah, it did.
And I could see that, it's happened in my life. I come from the inner city, low economic household, broken household, broken family home. And if it wasn't for the opportunity, I had one chance, one opportunity, I never would have made it as an actor or a producer or as a director or as a screenwriter or as an entrepreneur that I am now. And but you have to be smart to seize that opportunity and see it. But when there's zero opportunity,
Forget it.
yeah, it's tough.
They're a statistic.
Yeah, you're
It's
like,
hard for 15-year-olds to see opportunities as well, right?
Absolutely. You try to live your childhood.
Exactly. So that's the challenge. A lot of kids, maybe they didn't see that as an opportunity because they're a child. So it just feels like my husband was just lucky. He did work hard. So, I want to give him his props for that. But he wasn't the only one working hard. He had a ton of friends who were also working hard that just weren't on that bus that day.
They went on that bus.
And so they didn't get that opportunity.
Right.
And so when I started talking to people from communities like Alex who made it, and I'm putting quotation marks around that because we all have very different definitions of what that means, but who made it and were able to live lives of choice and provide for their families and just live the life that they want. They all had similar stories. They had all kind of been discovered. They had gotten into some scholarship program, or their mother's friend's boss had found, it was never that I just woke up, I went to school every day, I did my work, I applied for university, and I got in.
Okay.
You don't hear that story a lot from Black people who come from low income communities.
No, you don't hear those type of stories.
And so it made me really question that, and it really made me push to create something like that.
Yeah.
And I also thought about what I wanted for my own children. South Africa has a lot of really great schools. Yes. So there's no denying that. However, it just wasn't what I wanted. Yeah. I wanted my son to see the reflection of himself, in his teachers. I wanted to create a situation where my son never had to think what I used to think. Like, are my teachers not working as hard because I'm Black?
Yeah.
Right.
Would they perhaps
Right.
work harder if I was from a more privileged man? You know, and so we've been able to create an institution where that's not a part of the conversation, that every child at our school is being loved, is being pushed, is being challenged, because that's what they deserve.
That's what they deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
You took homeschooling to the next level.
Yeah, I did. Because I thought, like, what do I want for my son? I don't want my son to come to South Africa and have predominantly white teachers. There's nothing wrong with having white teachers, but that's not why I moved to South Africa. For my son to be a minority. I wanted my son to be in a beautiful situation that you see at a lot of HBCUs, where I don't know if race can ever really be off the table for Black people, but it's lesser of an issue at your historically Black colleges and universities. And it's sometimes around
It's being built, right?
Exactly.
A sense of pride is being built rather than a sense of having to downplay yourself. You try to be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine. He lives out here in South Africa. He said to me, "I'm from LA." I said, "Why are you moving? He had everything. He had things. He had a house. He had good situations. So why are you moving from LA?" He was in the film business, a producer. And he told me, he said, "Marcello, I'd rather be somewhere where I'm celebrated and not tolerated.
Wow.
I'd rather be somewhere where I'm celebrated and not tolerated." And I had to sit back and think about what he said. Am I tolerated? And it was a resounding yes. Compared to knowing what celebration is. One can't know they're in the oven until they get inside the refrigerator, right? One wouldn't know they were so hot till they feel cold. So I say that to say, I hope more people come and experience what's going on in here. But more than that, not only do I hope more people come and experience, I hope more people are proactive from the diaspora and doing things like you're doing. As you see, South Africa needs a lot of things. The continent needs a lot of things. Is at a place of development across the land. So as we see other countries trying to get in here, to make differences or basically take what they want out the land. With that of the school, how long have you had the school now?
So this is our 10th year. We're going into our 11th year.
11th year now.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started this school like a few years after you got here.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah, I started working on it in 2012. And then we started, actually, I moved here in 2000. Did I move in 2012 or 11? No, I moved in 2011.
Yeah,
I started working on, I know you fact check it, my memory now. I started working on the school in 2012. Well, it was the Joburg in 2012. That's what it is. It was the Joburg, and then started working on the school then.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
How many kids are in the school?
250.
250 kids. And Alec, wait, I would love to come down
Yes,
and
I would
see.
like you all to visit. Well, next year. We're closed now.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go and invite you next year.
Please.
I'll make a note for myself.
Invite us. Maybe we could do something with the kids or something.
Yeah, maybe
That'd be
interview
awesome.
some of the students as well. They would love to talk to you.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
But ask them about their experience.
No, I really appreciate you coming on Live Well today. But let me ask you a question. Being that it seems like you're really living your best life with the school and mother and doing all these things, would you say your quality of life has went up versus what you was living in from Kentucky to DC to now?
That's a really interesting question. I would say in some ways, yes.
Okay.
So I would say in terms of affordability,
Okay.
the house, the house that we can afford to buy, that same house, we would not be able to afford that house in the U.S.
Understand.
No,
Understand.
things of that nature. I think there's also a bit of guilt as well that I feel.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I work in Alex, and I go there on most days, and then I drive back to my neighborhood.
Right.
So there's a conflict, the inner conflict.
All right. The work is never over.
Yeah, there's an inner conflict that I have.
I go.
I remember there was a time there were strikes, riots in Alex. Buildings were being burned down. We had to cancel school, and I was at the park walking my dog.
Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, there's really two different realities here. There's different realities in every country.
Yeah, but there's
but South Africa, I think, it is the most unequal country in the world. There have been reports about that, and I could see it that day. Well, but I could see it before. That day when we had to cancel school, and they're showing shops on fire in like Royal Park, a tennis ball. So I think that the conflict is an inner conflict that I have. I think I've always had it though, to be honest, because I've always taught in under-resourced communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what the difference was is in the past, I also lived not far from those communities.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Understand.
with this particular situation, I don't live in Alex. I don't live close to it. I live about 20 minutes away, but I'm not seeing my students when I go to the grocery store. Whereas when I was in DC, I would see my students. We would run into, well, I don't, because we were in a similar neighborhood. So for here, it does feel like I'm living a very different life. You know, a lot of students get to live, and a lot of South Africans get to live.
True.
So I think that that's kind of the inner conflict. When I'm not thinking about the inner conflict, then I do feel like that I live a good life. You know, I'm able to do things for my children that I would probably find hard to do with American prices. You know, in terms of like extramurals, like piano lessons and ballet, and you know, those things are more accessible to middle class people here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I'm so glad we got to talk to you and spend this time and everything. I would love to have you come back as a guest again.
Yeah, I'd love to have to bring a student.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Bring us in on everything. I like that. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
And it does look like you are living well, my dear.
Yeah.
And are you living? And no, you are. Are you helping young people in underprivileged communities do better for themselves? Your story about your husband is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
The fact that now he's turning around, going back into his same community and doing the same thing to help those. So that way, it's each one teach one. So we would say each one teach one.
Yeah, and that's what I would encourage people to do who are thinking about coming to South Africa. Yes, you know, when we come to South Africa as Americans, we're going to be privileged because of how we speak.
Of course.
People associate our accents with
Absolutely.
you know, so as a black person, as a white person, you're going to be treated well here.
And they don't know our story. They don't know our story. What we really go through on a day-to-day basis. You know, and it's hard to explain that because, and I've tried.
Such a good job on portraying Americans as these just
The propaganda is real. Yeah, the propaganda is real that they did on us. Is a number, but we have to bridge that gap between diasporans and natives on the continent. You know, locals on the continent. So that we have a common understanding that, listen, low economics is relative, depending on what you pay for food, where you live at versus what you get paid.
Right.
It's really not that much of a disparity at the end of the day. What's happening here is some of the things that are happening or are starting to happen in the States and everything. So I think it's a good time for us to make that move and experience this now, but also coming here and telling the diasporans, hey, help out.
Yeah, what are you going to
Contribute to your people, because don't think you're coming here as a tourist. This is your people. Contribute, help, some pay it forward, and everybody needs help.
Yeah, and I think I used to be ashamed of like my privilege because as black people, we're not used to having privilege.
No.
But here we do have it. And I think I realized, like, let me not get into discussions about whether I have privilege or not. I do. And it's not about whether I have it or not. It's about what do I do with it?
Exactly.
That's the challenge that we have with white privilege. It's not the fact that when you have white privilege, it's fine. There's nothing that we can do to change that. So what are you doing with it?
What I'm playing with it.
That's how I kind of saw that inner conflict is I do have privilege, but how am I leveraging my privilege to help someone else?
Exactly.
For me, that's something that I would urge Americans, particularly Black Americans, to have front of mind of how you're going to leverage your privilege on someone else's behalf.
Fair enough.
Because we do have the power to do that. So I just encourage everybody to do that and not live in a bubble, because you could. You could easily live in South Africa, and you don't have to see Alex, to be honest with you. Like Alex, you don't have to go there.
And before we close shortly, I want to just give some understanding of what she's talking. She's talking Alex. It's called Alexandria, also known as Gomorrah. It is near another suburb or city, I should say, called Sandton. And Sandton is, as you know, is the richest quarter mile in all that of the continent of Africa. Of all of Africa. That's many millionaires live in this area. And right next door, you have Alexandria, which is Gomorrah, which we nicknamed Alex. And these people are impoverished.
Yeah. It's the lowest, the most disenfranchised urban community in the country.
The most disenfranchised urban community in the country. What is this economic disparity right next door to each other?
Yeah, I mean, the average income of our parents is 5,000 rands a month. Which is about $200
What's up?
a month. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely reach out to us outside this podcast. And any information that you might have, we'll love to put in the link below.
Okay.
You guys, we're going to put any information. If you guys want to help the school, donate to the school, any which way. Money, of gifts or whatever, or talk to the children, something maybe we could create and everything. Actually, in the comments, put what you would like to do, what you might want to see happen and everything. But link, comment, and subscribe. We need more subscribers. We thank you guys for what we have right now, but we always need more subscribers. And we love the interaction with you guys. Thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
All right.
you, Wahida. You're great. Thank you. You're great.
And we always tell you on Live Well. Live well.
Live well.
Talk soon.